In the grand halls of the Kremlin, Ibrahim Traoré, Burkina Faso's fearless young president, sits across from Vladimir Putin. His voice steady, his eyes burning with resolve. He recounts a tale of betrayal and survival, a deadly ambush in the skies by American and French jets. This is a story of one man's courage against a world determined to silence him. Ibrahim Traoré leaned forward in the plush Kremlin chair, his hands clasped tightly as he began his story. "Mr. President," he said to Putin, "I came to Moscow to build a future for my people, but they tried to bury me in the sky before I could reach you." At 37, Ibrahim was Burkina Faso's beacon of hope, a leader who had risen to power on a promise to free his nation from foreign control. His dreams were simple yet bold. Schools for every child, prosperity for every village, and a Burkina Faso that answered to no one but its people. This trip to Moscow was meant to seal a partnership with Russia, a defiant stand against the West's grip on Africa. As he spoke, Ibrahim's voice carried the weight of a man who knew the cost of his choices. "I knew the risks," he told Putin. "France and America, they don't take kindly to those who challenge their rule. But I never imagined they'd go this far." Ibrahim's voice grew sharp as he plunged into the heart of his story, his words painting a vivid picture for Putin. "We were flying over Eastern Europe, the sky a sea of gray clouds, when the plane shuddered like it had been struck by lightning," he said. The pilot's voice broke through the intercom, tight with panic. Unidentified aircraft approaching fast. Brace for impact. I rushed to the window, my pulse hammering, and saw them. 2 American F-35s and 3 French Rafales, their sleek bodies slicing through the air, their markings unmistakable. They weren't here to warn us. They were here to kill. Putin leaned forward, his expression unreadable but his eyes locked on Ibrahim. The radio crackled with a voice, cold, American, like it was reading a script. Ibrahim continued. "Flight BF 001, you are in violation of international airspace. Turn back immediately or we will fire." It was a lie. We were on an approved route, cleared by every authority. This wasn't about airspace. It was about power. He clenched his jaw, the memory still raw. "I knew why they were there, Mr. President. My reforms, kicking out French troops, nationalizing our mines, reaching out to you, had made me a target. They couldn't control me, so they wanted me gone." Ibrahim described the moment he made his choice. "I turned to the pilot, a young man named Kofi, barely older than my brother. His hands were shaking on the controls. I put a hand on his shoulder and said, 'Keep flying. We don't turn back.' My voice was calm, but inside, I was thinking of my people, of Amina's smile, of the farmers who cheered when I promised them their land back. I couldn't let their hope die with me." The plane lurched as the first missile screamed past, detonating in a fiery bloom that lit up the sky. "The shock wave hit us like a fist," Ibrahim said. Paper scattered, the cabin lights flickered, and my aide, Fatimata, was clutching a rosary, whispering prayers and more. The air stung with the smell of burning circuits. Another missile came, closer this time, the explosion so loud it felt like my eardrums would burst. I could see Kofi fighting controls, sweat pouring down his face, shouting, "They're boxing us in." The enemy jets were relentless, weaving a deadly dance around the plane. "They were playing with us," Ibrahim said, his voice tinged with anger. "Those jets could have ended it in seconds, but they wanted us to feel the weight of their power." The radio kept barking orders, "Surrender or die." I stood up, gripping the wall as the plane tilted, and shouted to the crew, "We are Burkina Faso. We do not surrender." The crew rallied, their fear giving way to defiance. Fatimata, tears streaming down her face, began relaying coordinates to ground control, her voice steady despite the chaos. Kofi banked the plane hard, dodging another missile that grazed a wing, leaving a trail of smoke. "I thought of my mother," Ibrahim said softly. "She used to tell me, a lion doesn't run from hyenas." I kept her words in my heart, even as the sky burned around us. The situation grew dire. The plane systems were failing, warning lights flashing red across the cockpit. We were out of tricks, Ibrahim admitted. I looked out the window, saw the F-35s closing in, their missile bays glowing. I thought of the headlines they'd write. Tragic accident claims African leader. A lie to bury their crime. But then, a miracle broke through the despair. A new sound roared over the horizon. Ibrahim said, his voice lifting. Deep, powerful, like the heartbeat of a giant. Your Su-57s, Mr. President, 5 of them, tearing to the clouds like avenging angels. Your pilots didn't hesitate. They locked onto the enemy jets, and the sky exploded into chaos. Ibrahim's words grew vivid as he described the dogfight. It was like nothing I'd ever seen. Tracer fire streaked across the sky, red and gold, like a painter's brush gone mad. Missiles crisscrossed, their contrails weaving a deadly web. One Rafale took a direct hit, spiraling downward in a ball of flame. The F-35s tried to outmaneuver your pilots, but they were no match. Your Su-57s moved like they were alive, darting and diving, forcing the enemy to scatter. He paused, a faint smile breaking through. I watched one of your pilots, brave, reckless, chase an F-35 through a cloud bank, emerging with missile lock that sent the American jet fleeing. The crew cheered, Fatimata hugging Kofi so tightly he nearly lost control of the plane. For the first time, I felt hope. The Russian jets drove the attackers away, their silhouettes fading into the horizon. The sky was quiet again, Ibrahim said, but our plane was wounded. Smoke trailed from the left engine, and we were losing altitude. Kofi fought to keep us steady, guiding us toward Moscow. I sat back, my hands trembling, and whispered a prayer, not for myself, but for my people, for the dream that kept me alive. Ibrahim leaned closer to Putin, his voice fierce. That attack wasn't just about me. It was a message to every leader, every nation, that dares to defy the West. They want us to stay small, to stay silent. But I'm still here, Mr. President, because of your pilots, because of my crew's courage, because of the fire in my heart. The ambush's aftermath shook the world. Leaked reports of the attack sparked outrage across Africa, with protests erupting in Ouagadougou, Nairobi, and beyond. My people took to the streets, Ibrahim said, pride in his voice. They chanted my name, but more than that, they chanted for freedom. The West thought they could break us, but they only forged us stronger. Ibrahim's tale filled the Kremlin with a quiet intensity, his words a testament to his unyielding spirit. When I landed in Moscow, I knew I'd been given a second chance, he told Putin. And when I returned to Ouagadougou, I stood before my people and said, they tried to bury us in the sky, but we are not dust, we are fire. The crowd roared, their voices a thunder that shook the earth. His survival had transformed him into a global symbol of resistance. From Dakar to Addis Ababa, his name became a rallying cry for nations tired of foreign chains. Putin's promise, military support, economic partnerships, gave Ibrahim a shield, but he knew the true strength lay in his people's unity. One man can light a spark, he said, but only a nation can turn it into a blaze. The lesson was undeniable. Courage against impossible odds can rewrite history. Ibrahim's journey wasn't just about surviving an ambush. It was about daring to dream of a free Africa, even when the world tried to crush that dream. I fight for Amina, he said, his voice softening. For every child, every mother, every soul who believes in a better tomorrow. As he finished, Ibrahim met Putin's gaze, his eyes burning with purpose. This is only the beginning, he said. For Burkina Faso, for Africa, for every heart that refuses to kneel. Ibrahim Traoré's story is a call to rise, to fight for what matters. What does his defiance stir in you? Share your thoughts in the comment below, and let's keep this fire alive. Subscribe for more stories of courage and hope, and join us in building a world where every voice is heard.